with all our webinars. I see there are a lot of repeated viewers with us today, and we have good amount of first timers on the webinar today. So I would most of you know who we are, what we do, what is our mission with the IHRD. So for the new audience, I would like to give introduction about us. My name is Shazar Ali. I am the director in IT for at IHRD. The and our I will like to tell more about what is our mission, what is our objective, and why we are doing this at IHRD. First of all, we want to give a collaboration and synergies between academia and industry. So while I was growing up, while I was moving from my, the campus life to moving out of the real world, finding jobs or anything, I found a lot of miscommunication, misinformation. There was not great platform to give me knowledge about what's going to happen in the real world when I pass out from the campus or colleges. So that is me and the team at IHRD are collecting all this information and giving the knowledge to you, bringing spreading the knowledge whatever we have experienced in our lives, and we also equip the teaching and learning community with latest happenings around the industry. So since we are in the industry, we are aware of what is going on and what are new things, what is going down, or stuff like that. So we can even pass that information to you through our webinars or our website or our articles online. So the main prime very important to my to personally myself is to make the students industry ready, right from right in the college or while they pass out from the colleges. We are scheduling these webinars to give you more information what is happening out in the world, where so you can help yourself finding what best you can do in with your career. So so while just a minute. So good morning. I think
Good morning.
you guys
I
were not
think
you
I was
guys were
not
not
audible to you
audible.
guys.
I was not audible. Sorry about that. So sorry, there was some delay with we starting this webinar, and there was some, I don't know what was the issue with my microphone. I think you are able to listen to me now. Drop a comment if you can. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So I would like to invite you all here. Thank you very much for joining us, making out time for us, and I see there are very new registered members for this webinar with us today, and we also have very repeated audience with us. Thank you very much for supporting us so far. I think we are. This is what is motivating us, that you guys are following us every day, coming on our all webinars every day, taking out time, and I think we are delivering some important sessions to you. So you are very much interested in our webinars and our guests that we are inviting to you for you to talk about. What is going on in the industry and what is going on in the world. So for the new people, quickly I'll give an objective of our IHRD and our mission. So we want the students who are in the campus to be industry ready. Uh, right from the college, when they pass out, if they are looking for new jobs, their first job especially, we want them to be ready with their resume, ready with how they speak, ready with what to expect from the corporates or hiring companies. So we also want to organize national and international webinars with experienced industry people to bridge the gap between academia and industry. So we have very interesting people today. There are two young people, two young entrepreneurs who brought some great product online. So you'll learn more about them soon, and it's very interesting session today, um, because they can also give their experience, how they started, how what what problems they've had while they were moving out from the college and starting their own thing. So we also encourage you guys, like students or whoever you're watching, encourage the learners to write articles and articulate their views and opinions on our website. So our blog section on iihrd.com is open for public. For the If you want to write an article, share your story about anything related to career or your studies, or how you transitioned your life from being a student to a working professional, anything in that between. If you think your article is very informative, very interesting, we are we encouraging you to write an article for IIHRD. We will publish on our website, and doing that, so we will also issue an e-certificate that you have written an article at iihrd.com. So IHRD also wants to we are involved in campus recruitment as well. We are tied up with some organizations. They want to hire new talent, new freshers, right from the college. So we will we are working hard towards that, to make the organization find good fresh talent right up from the college. So we also have like a recruitment portal with us. Like recruiters can create their account with us, and they can post with job openings for freshers. So we take that requirement, go to campuses, or we open that on our website, so people can come in and apply on the website, and we process that to the organizations to you know um, uh, to fill that positions basically. So we are here. We are reachable at most of the channels, like through email, through website, through a Telegram group also. So if you have any questions, if you want any guidance, if you want any services from us that is listed on our website, you can reach out to us through our website. There's a form at the below, contact form. You can write us at iihrd@outlook.com, and there's a Telegram group that's a short link, t.me/iihrd. So we are active there. You can reach out to us for any help, or if you're interested for any other webinars that or topics that you're looking for, we can find a professional people to fill that webinar.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, there is a technical glitch. We are extremely sorry for the inconvenience. So I am Dr. Mrutyunjay. I am Dr. Mrutyunjay Rao Mangipudi. I am acting as Head Academics and Industry Partnership at IIHRD Hyderabad. Besides working as an adjunct professor in a School of Business Management at Mallareddy University, Hyderabad. So today we got, yeah, thank you. Not audible, is it? Someone put message not audible. Am I audible now? Can you please? Can someone send me message in the chat box? Hello. Now, okay. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Anjali, and thanks, Rajesh. Yeah, thanks, Chandan. I think I am audible now. Yeah, we got more than 2,000 registrations across the India and also a few parts of the world, and it is really encouraging. And then this is the 12th webinar that IIHR is conducting. Today's topic or the webinar is democratizing education through mobile apps, which you know. And then we have with us two eminent speakers and then two entrepreneurs, emerging entrepreneurs from EduWeave. I am going to introduce you without wasting any time. The introducers, the speakers of the day. Give me a moment. Yeah, we are also getting requests from the participants to conduct workshops and seminars on data analytics and all. And we are also getting requests from the higher education institutions asking us to devise the curriculum, design and conceptualize the curriculum for the HR or the operations or business management students. Yeah, we are doing, and we are also conducting discussing with the various institutions in that process. We will surely come up with some of the concepts like conducting the workshops, and also we are giving them the curriculum so that it is not from our own, like we are not devising it, and it's on our own, but you are actually consulting with the industry people, eminent people from Deloitte and TCS, Wipro, or the NCR Corporation and all. So most of these organizations are giving us the inputs, and they are actually requiring us to design the curriculum in such a way that should be useful or helpful for them in their day-to-day operations. So keeping that in view, we are designing the courses, and we are also coming up with the webinars, conferences, workshops on a paid basis also soon. Uh, so now let me introduce the speakers of the day. Mr. Anuraj and Mr. Vishnu Sharan are the speakers. Let me tell you about Mr. Anuraj. Anuraj graduated from the National University of Singapore and previously worked as an engineer at Rain Neuromorphics, an artificial intelligence hardware company in Silicon Valley. He has also been involved in the publishing of academic research in the field of psychosynthetic solar cells. That is what about Mr. Anuraj. Anuraj, thank you for being with us today. And as far as Mr. Vishnu Saran is concerned, he also graduated from the National University of Singapore and has a specialization in design thinking and software product management. He worked in a venture capital firm before founding his own artificial intelligence startup in Singapore. Vishnu has also spent a year in Silicon Valley working as an engineer at a fast-paced startup. Mr. Vishnu Sharan, thank you for joining us. So now I would like to hand over the stage or hand over the webinar for both of them. Mr. Shazur. Yeah, hi, welcome, sir.
Yep, thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Yeah.
Are you all able to hear me? Can I see it in the chat if anyone is able to hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I guess Vishnu can put the presentation on, and
Yeah,
we
it's
can
on,
get.
it's on.
Okay, so yeah, good morning, everyone. Firstly, thanks a lot to Dr. Rao inviting us and letting us give a talk on the future of education and how we hoped. I am Anuraj, and together with my business partner friend Vishnu, we'll be talking about EduWeave, which is creating education tools for the future. Hopefully, you guys will find this insightful. So yes, before moving on to what EduWeave does, I think it is important for us to understand what education is. So more than 300 years ago, 300 years ago, education was only available to the rich and powerful. In India, in the West, only people who had access to resources or came from royalty had access to education. But today, education is a fundamental human right. So, how did education change, and how did it become that fundamental human right? Well, if we take a look at this picture, there's something very peculiar about it. Most of us would think that it is a factory that is polluting the environment, or it is a manufacturing plant producing goods. But this is actually an image from the 1800s when the Industrial Revolution started. And this is significant in the context of education because this is when mass education became available to the mass. Now, education initially was very exclusive, but with industrialization, countries needed access to people with skills. Next slide. They needed skills to build and maintain factories. They needed oh, are you able to hear me? Okay. So educators needed access. Countries needed access to people who were educated in building and maintaining factories, manufacturing, and also they wanted to rates. And also they wanted to continue their growth rates, which is they decided to educate people in the masses. So this is an image when mass education became available to, I think my voice is breaking. Vishnu, do you want to take it and try if your voice is smoother?
Yeah, sure, sure. Can you all hear me now clearly? Dr. Rao, are you able to hear me? Okay, I assume that's a yes. Can I get some responses in the chat? Okay, great. So, I'm gonna take on from here because I think Anuraj has some issues with the audio. So moving forward, I would like to introduce like what modern education is. I hear that there's dual audio. Is the problem still existing? Okay, cool. I think Dr. Rao and Dr. Shazur told me it's okay. Cool, great. So I'll move on. Yeah. So compared to the past, now education is modernized, and this creates a greater hope for equality because in the past, people were limited based on the resources they have, based on the money they had, and based on their access to education. And now, because of the modernization and industrial revolution, government started subsidizing education to the masses. For the first time, people had hope to better their lives through education. Education became a means to bridge the gap between who they were and who they want to be in the future. And people were actually gaining knowledge, skills, and access to well-paying jobs through education. So things started looking great for the future of education because of the whole 1800s revolution that's happening at a point of time. However, education has remained stagnant for the last 200 years. This is a picture from 180 years ago, a professor teaching on a whiteboard, or I mean a blackboard. And fast forward to today, you see the exact same thing. The only thing that's different is the blackboard became a whiteboard. So that's the main difference that has happened. And it's astonishing to see that over 200 years, this is the only change that has happened. Motivation in the education sector is decreasing. Classroom sizes have increased. Every single day you see classes getting from 20 people a class to more than 60 at this point of time. And a teacher is not able to personalize or communicate direct feedback to each and individual student. And there's some shocking statistics globally. 50%, in other words, half of the classroom report that they're bored in school, and 42% report that they're tired in school. This is staggering. And 80% of the teachers, the primary aspect of education, 80% of them report high stress levels. And in India alone, 40% of teaching jobs are vacant or unfilled. And this is rather shocking because education is instrumental in bridging the gap between the rich and the poor. We are still stuck in the past. From ages ago, you have people in tables and mass classrooms, and even today you have lecture rooms that are overcrowded, overfilled, and classes going on without any changes. In 2020, because of a pandemic, everything changed. Education came to a standstill. Physical education, physical education came to a complete standstill. Online education became the new normal. There's no more concept of physical lessons. Everything was to be done online. You don't have to attend to a physical lecture theater anymore. And Zoom, WhatsApp, Google Drive, you name it, all these devices became the new classrooms. And this is where teachers meet students and perform lessons. And there are multiple problems with this whole concept. You have patchy internet, you have internet problems, teacher and student burnout because they don't see each other. They conduct tons and tons of online classes. Lack of affordable education tools. Every single platform we might use to conduct our lessons are expensive. And there's a lack of support from schools and institutions as well. And there's a lack of mobile-friendly tools. In a country like India, mobile-friendly is very important. Every other platform at this point of time requires a computer to work on. There is a lack of good student attendance because students can easily opt out of these online educations, and you can't even check whether the student is present in the classroom. And there's a whole bunch of additional financial investment, from paying for these platforms to even purchasing the laptops that are required for these education sessions. But online education has also created this massive opportunity for people like us to bridge the gap and help promote education in a more accessible manner. There is no geographical boundaries. Like today we have participants from all over the world. I think there are about 30 countries present here. All you need is just a simple smartphone with internet connection, and you can gain access to education from anywhere. There's an increase in access to education from your comfort of your very own room. Just from your room, you can log into like Coursera, Udemy, you can attend lessons from your teacher and whatnot. The future of education, however, starts by building the right tools for teachers. Till today, there has not been a single tool that emphasizes on improving a teacher's efficiency and a teacher's experience. Educators are the centerpiece of learning. As much as students are important, a student's experience is best when the educators have the right tools and have the right mindset to perform this learning. So the main aspects to educators involve building of a community. A school is nothing without a community. You need to help, the educators need to help students through the social process of learning. So it's not just about learning individually, it's about learning as a class, it's about learning with one another. The educators are involved in inspiring students. A lot of times, even myself included, have gained a lot of inspiration and motivation from talking to my teachers and seeing what they do on a daily basis. And at the end of the day, educators provide accountability. It's someone that provides accountability to the student. You need to submit homework, you need to do this, you need to do that, and behave properly in the classroom. And this whole concept of accountability that an educator provides. But still, in Asia, 11 million educators, and the count is increasing every single day, struggle to facilitate a single classroom. And more than 80%, even till now, report heightened levels of stress. That is shocking. Online education infrastructure has always been a mess, and that is the main reason why the stress continue to happen. The tools that are being used today are very, very old, old-fashioned. It's archaic. Learning tools are stuck in the 2000s. The whole concept is neglected. It's a very transactional relationship. There is no personal growth in students. An educator comes online, teaches the student, and he leaves. That's all. And the whole process is very fragmented. You have WhatsApp to communicate to the students, you have Zoom lessons to do the online classes, you have Google Drive to share the documents, and all this requires a lot of different links, and it's very messy for educators and students to handle. And that's where we come in. It's a simple mobile platform where you start teaching instantly from a mobile phone. You can record a session or you can do it live as well. Everything is within your mobile phone, all in the same place. You can upload documents, you can talk to your students, you can mark and do quizzes with the students, and there's a direct connection to the students through discussion forums and live classes. So it's a simple process where you use EduWeave, the platform we built, where you create the classroom containing the details of the classroom, like what class it is, what time of the day it is, and then you go on to adding of the students. You share simply a invite link to the students, and they are on board on your platform, just simply from a mobile phone. And once you click go live, you start teaching instantly. And anytime the student has a problem, you can raise you can raise it in the live call, and there's even a whiteboard functionality where a student and teacher can discuss and use a whiteboard on the online platform itself. But this is not enough, and that's where we're going to bring you guys into, where we are going to talk about cohort-based courses, and this, we believe, is the future of online education. A cohort-based learning, simply defined, is a collaborative learning style where a group of students progressively and progress through an educational program collectively. So, a bunch of us come together, a bunch of students come together, work together, and discuss and grow personally and academically together. That is the definition of cohort-based learning. It's not individual, it's not transactional. The key features of a cohort-based course include being time-bound and modular. What this means is you define how long it needs to be and what kind of modules you cover in this time period. They have live weekly lessons that are also recorded, so you can attend them live and also refer back to it whenever you want to. You have optional breakout sessions, so you have this more personalized interaction. So we have a live class with all the students in one, but once the educator, wants like small group discussions, you can then create breakout sessions where they go into groups and discuss with one another and bring it back to the classroom setting again. You also have like polls, interactive whiteboards, emoji reactions, and a bunch more things to make this whole process a lot more interactive and humane. And the greatest thing of it all is the scale of internet. You can basically do this from any part of the world to any student in the world. What sets cohort-based courses apart? First concept is actually the concept of community. Learning happens best in a community setting. I'm sure many of you can relate to this. If you're learning alone as compared to learning with a bunch of your friends, I think the experience is completely different. You have someone to talk to, you have someone to get help from, and have someone to like voice your opinions with. It's best happens when there's discussion oriented and peer-to-peer interaction. So you basically you talk to one another. In fact, you can even teach one another certain concepts that you may not understand best. And in a fast-paced cohort setting, which is highly time-paced and modular, valuable relationships emerge because you feel the need to help one another and learn from one another. What I mean by relationships are mentors, coaches, advisors, clients, and many more. You never know what you might meet or who you might meet in a session such as this. Today you might be attending this course with us, and 10 years later, you might be exiting with a successful company. You never know. EduWeave creates the right conditions for community to emerge. I'll explain how we do it in a matter of slides. Cohort-based courses also have this concept of accountability. What we mean by this is we will try to bring the same culture and environment as traditional schools, because the whole concept of schools becoming online, there's this whole lack of humane touch to this, and this is where we will come in and promote culture and values that traditional schools will bring to the table as well. This immersive culture ensures that students and teachers are accountable for one another. It's no longer a transactional relationship, it's more of like family, it's more of both of the people grow together. In fact, CBC's cohort-based courses have completion rates of 70 to 90%, whereas the typical MOOCs, which are like massive open online courses, such as Coursera, Udemy, they're at 6%. You can clearly see the difference in completion rates with these statistics. And another concept is the concept of interaction. This is very, very important in a school environment. You foster a tight-knit community to provide continuous interaction. You need to have people talking to one another. You're doing this in a very stressful environment and you build valuable relationships. Instructors can also broadcast one-to-many lectures to present key concepts. So you don't just have a one-on-one session, but you can have like a one-to-many, but still have this one-on-one kind of feeling for each student. And the concept of breakout rooms allows students to split off and have more relevant discussions. Sometimes students feel more comfortable talking in small groups than talking in large, cohort settings. Education becomes borderless. A student today in Japan can get education from a professor or educator in India because this Indian professor has reputation of being good at teaching literature. So this whole beautiful concept of connecting the whole world happens. And the last thing is the impact of core-based courses is massive. Education is centered around the transformation of people. So the whole concept of education is not just passing of knowledge from one person to another person. It's about transforming a person. It's about inspiring and motivating a student as they go through their crucial years in their life. I'm sure you guys know, but the teenage years and the student's years are the most influential years of a person's life. And, positive transformation is pivotal. EduWeave promotes this transformation through our design and features. So I'll get to the features in a bit and you'll understand why we do this. Online education should still provide the personal touch between students and teachers. I emphasize this many times, and I believe that no matter how much online that one can get, there's still a relevance for humane touch and a personal touch between students and teachers. CBCs allow interaction, accountability, and a secure space for students to share and grow. You join as an individual, you leave as a community of friends. That's the purpose and the impact of EduWeave. So now we'll get to the product features on top of what we have shown you in the slides earlier. I'll also be sharing a link to a demo video which you can see on YouTube because our product is already live and functional with about 300 users. So we allow educators to have custom landing pages for your cohort. You can tweak it to your own personality. You can do whatever you want with this landing page with all the information of the cohort, the content, and the kind of students you're expecting. Live conferencing and breakout rooms. So like I mentioned, you have a live call with all the students, thousands of students, but you can then break out into like classrooms or even small groups where they can talk to one another and have more personalized discussions. You have whiteboards and Jamboards, like this massive whiteboard where all the cohort students can contribute to. At the end of the day, end of the cohort, after 6 to 8 weeks, you have this beautiful masterpiece of educational sharings that teachers, educators, and students can take home. It's like a souvenir at the end of the day. You also have the certificate generation. With enough experts on this platform, who knows, one day these certificates might replace academic certificates themselves. I think the value of experts and community is a lot more than just attending a transactional relationship. And we also have the concept of online consultation sessions. We believe that students need personalized feedback and they need advice from a from an educator. And what best can it be done through? The best way it can be done is through having like this kind of consultation sessions where an educator can have one-to-one sessions with the students. End of the day, this is very important for educators with hundreds of students that they teach every other day, be it on physical classrooms or be it on Google Classroom or like those online tools that exist today. You don't have the ability to do data analytics. Data analytics is very, very important for an educator to understand how the students are performing throughout the cohort. And an educator has a feedback loop that he or she can act on to provide better lessons and better education experience for the students. And with this, EduWeave will democratize learning. And we want to create emphasis on the important aspects of teaching. We want educators to do what they do best, which is teach well. And we want students to be able to do what they do best, which is learn. And through EduWeave, we can do this. The human touch of education is preserved through our platform. We do not lose this very, very important aspect of education. Barriers to education get demolished through, the ability to teach online. And there's a tremendous, because everything is done online now, right? So a lot of people feel this lack of meaningful experiences and relationships. And with our platform, you can generate and create these meaningful experiences as they grow with us. Collectively, we create an accessible future for all students, even the most underprivileged students of today. And these are the guys who need education the most, because, like I mentioned earlier, with education you can bridge the gap from who you are today to what you want to be in the future. And our live interaction, our personalized and responsive and humane way of doing this, bridges this gap and allows any student to get good education. We at EduWeave believe that positive transformational journey is important for all students, and we do this through EduWeave. And in the long run, we want to equip educators with proper tools. We want to give them what they've been lacking all this while, so that they can do what they have been doing best. We are reimagining online education infrastructure. You don't have to put pieces together, get Google Drive, get WhatsApp, get Zoom, all these things. You don't have to do it. Everything from the one platform, which is EduWeave. And we want to build this right tools for a rapidly changing online education environment. So yeah, we have already built a product, and this this sign up form allows us to identify those people who are keen, and you can once you register in this form, me and Anuraj and our team of educators will then personally work with you to build the cohort of the future. So we will ensure that your students and you have the right skill sets, right tools, right platform to transfer your knowledge in the best possible manner. So you can scan this QR code. I'm going to leave this page for 5 to 10 seconds. Once you scan this QR code, you'll be led to a Google Forms where you can fill in your name, your email, what kind of students you're teaching, what do you want to teach, what is the size of the audience, and we will then work with you to generate the cohort setting and give you our app to enable this educational journey for your students. So yeah, leaving this for another 5 more seconds. Yep. So yeah, thank you. I come to the team slide, so I'm just going to share a little bit more about both of us. Anuraj, as mentioned earlier, both of us are entrepreneurs. We have experience in design thinking, software product management. Anuraj has also worked
Did we lose Nu?
am I still visible?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, both of us have been in entrepreneurship journey for a long time. We have conducted webinars and education in various means. And interesting thing is, both of us have also co-founded this other startup called Nucleate, where the concept is a social enterprise, where we teach technical skills to students, and it will then teach them how to teach one another. So we don't just stop at educating students, but we wanted to educate them how to educate one another. So the whole knowledge does not become stagnant. You'll then be able to pass it to each other. Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you so much for listening in. And this is the end of the presentation. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask us in the chat box. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Vishnu, and thank you, Mr. Anuraj. It was a really wonderful session, insightful session, and hope the audience will get some of the points and then they'll make use of this platform also. Am I? Yeah. So we have received a few questions from the participants. So can we ask you, with your permission, we'll
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
ask some of the questions on behalf of the participants.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Mr. Sunil Kumar, he is from New Delhi Institute of Management from New Delhi. He works as an assistant professor. So he is asking, should we democratize or empower HR for full control over organizations? So I could see there are two contradictory statements. One is democratizing or empowering the HR, and on the other side, he asks, like he seeks to control, to take over full control on the organizations. So how does it work?
I think so. I will take this question. So, if I'm understanding the question properly, he's asking whether HR is important in any organization to be able to democratize education. So, our answer to this is, at least my answer to this is, at this point of time, of course, we'll work with HR people. We work with a bunch of members in a school, in like various platforms to be able to democratize education. But ultimately, we want to be able to give this power to an individual, every single educator. Because if I'm an educator in like a developing country or with someone who has lack of access to a huge network of successful educators, I would not be able to do something like this by myself. So by democratizing it with HR and a bunch of people, individuals like myself who have not done these kind of things before would not be able to conduct such sessions. So with our ability to conduct lessons from mobile phone in a cohort setting, any single person can do it without the necessity for a whole organization, bunch of people to organize it and put it together. I hope that answers
Yeah,
the
that's
question.
great. Yes, yes. Yeah, thanks. I think, I think these are the two different things. One is taking full control. Again, gives the complete control to one section of the people. So democratize is the thing that empowering everyone in the ecosystem, right?
Yes, correct.
It's good. Another question is from Vishnu Kumar Sharma. He is from BR College of Agriculture, affiliated to SKRAU Bikaner. He is from Rajasthan. He is asking, how can it be possible democratizing the education through mobility or mobile apps?
Okay.
How can it be
So,
possible?
Raj, you can handle this.
Yes. So yeah. Um, so the reason why we want to democratize education through mobile phones is because if we see in Asia and specifically in India, what is that more people are coming onto the internet using their mobile phones as compared to laptops. Students, teachers, and the general population has more access to the internet through mobile phones. Hence, we believe that education for the future should be mobile first because people will have more access to them compared on the laptop, which is why we truly believe that not only should education solutions be available on computers, they should also be available on mobile phone devices, which outnumber the number of computers and laptops that there are in India.
Great. Great.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks.
I think I
Thank you.
mentioned like the cost of using a mobile phone and using these online platforms is far too much for everyone to be able to access. So with a mobile phone, it's a lot cheaper, it's a lot easier, and it's a lot more convenient.
Yeah, yeah, great. So can we take another question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So he is from he is Dr. Bhagavati Perumal. He is from SR Sairam Engineering College, Chennai. He is a professor. So he is asking, what are the latest technologies available for teaching through mobile apps, and how do they help in online teaching?
Sure.
Anuraj, do you want to
I
take this?
can answer that question. So there are a number of technologies that are available, both on mobile phone apps and so for laptops, it's definitely a lot more because these technologies are developed by countries that are in the West, so in America specifically. In mobile phone applications on the college level, there are not that many available, but there are a lot of mobile phone applications available for the younger student population. So students in primary school, students in secondary school and high school, where they will a curriculum if they're following CBSE or ICSE, They will help students prepare for exams, give them smart quizzes, and things of that nature. But for the higher education level, the infrastructure is still significantly lacking because each college personalizes education depending on the courses that they offer, the specializations that they offer, and things of that nature. And also, we believe through our experiences in college that it is the role of a professor is far more important than any application that is out there, which is why we feel that if we can build educational communication technologies on mobile phones, so how can we enable professors conduct their classes easily? That is what will help higher level educators to truly realize the extent and potential of online learning and teaching. Yeah.
And I would like to add on also, one thing which always these online tools lack at this point of time is there is no personal touch. People are increasingly focusing on growth and scalability and giving access to everyone, but they're forgetting the human nature of education. Both of us have, I mean, all of us have gone through teaching and being a student as well, and I'm 100% sure most of you will relate that this human nature of a teacher and a student relationship is it's like very important, and many online tools miss this concept. So we at EduWeave are trying to bridge that through a lot of discussion, a lot of games, a lot of you know emotions, these kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah, great, great. It will actually bridge the gap. Yeah. And can we take another question from Miss Namita S. Moel? So the question is here like this. Miss Namita is asking, good ideology, but how much time it will really take to be launched in Indian education system?
Sure.
Yeah.
I can take that question. Um, so our idea here is not to change or not to fundamentally change the Indian education system. What we believe is that professors and level educators are extremely specialized individuals with years of experience. This experience comes in the form of giving, but more importantly, it also comes in the form of conducting workshops, conducting camps, conducting training seminars. And we want to enable online learning through those personalized means. Cohort based classes are very similar to these settings where you have a domain knowledge as a professor, probably teaching, let's say, an engineering course or teaching high level physics or teaching English literature and conducting these cohorts within their classrooms in or in, let's say, a boot camp or a workshop set. So we don't need to fundamentally change the Indian education system. What we can do is that we can bring in a new methodology of conducting um, classes through the cohort based system and using technology to do that. Thank you.
That's great. That's
And
great.
one
Yeah.
more thing I would like to say on top of that is
Yes.
basically we're not trying to I mean we want to be like a university of the future, like an online faculty. So instead of just uh, giving tools to student educators to conduct lessons, we want to be like what Anuraj mentioned. These educators will conduct workshops, boot camps, seminars, and it starts with one person at a time. So for now, we might have 10, 20 people, but imagine we reach a day where there's like thousands of educators and millions of students. You can imagine the potential power this has, and yeah, it's basically like a university without borders if you think about it in that manner.
Great. Great. Yeah, thank you. And another question is from a student. He is a student from Trivandrum. His name is Ginny Kennedy. So he is actually studying in Kariyavatam campus, Trivandrum. So he's asking, how can an online class be interesting for students in the current situation? How can an online class be interesting for students in the current situation? Is his question.
Maybe I'll say first. So that's a very good question, and I mean, uh, I think an online class right now is definitely lacking a lot of things because it's very like monotonous. It's very educator will talk about a problem and students will just listen and there's no it's just very one-sided. Educator keeps speaking and students keep writing notes and just doing homework. But that is where we are trying to come in. We don't want to tackle the academic aspects of this education. We're coming in to help like boot camps, seminars, workshops, webinars like this. And then this becomes interesting because we have like this whole discussion oriented platform. We have whiteboards, Jamboards, and games that students can engage in with the professor or educator to enrich this education experience. And also like it's not just like listening to the educator. There's a lot more interaction. There's a lot more involvement from both parties. There's a lot more teamwork involved. It's building a community. It's building a family. It's not building like an individual person goes through the system and leaves with a degree. We want a student to go through our cohort and live as like a motivated, transformed student from a part of a community as well. Yeah.
Yeah, again, there is another comment from the same participant, Ms. Namita S. Moel. She is stating that, but our infrastructure is really in bad position. Any comments on that?
I can maybe answer that. So
Yeah.
it's true that the
Yeah, please.
infrastructure is in a bad position, which is why we are constantly say that rather than trying to come up with all these smart tools and artificial intelligence technologies, we will develop infrastructure that is good enough for video presentations and the educator at the center of it. And using a cohort-based model and see where an educator can start a live session, create a simple whiteboard, create breakout rooms, conduct better classes. And another thing that I would like to add is that with time, will definitely get better. 5 years ago, when Reliance Geo came out, people did not expect that it would have such a transformative effect in terms of connecting the Indian population to the internet. But because of COVID, our infrastructure capabilities will have to accelerate. And definitely within the next 1 year, we will see massive improvements in terms of the infrastructure. But right now, yes, the infrastructure is not in the best position, but we still have infrastructure that is good enough for us to conduct creatively classes, online video conferencing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think great, great, Anuraj. Yeah, that was a good answer. And then another question, can I take from?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, he's Mr. Tyagarajan Radhakrishnan. He is from All India Radio, Chennai. So he's working as a transmission executive. So he's asking mobile app development courses for children a boon or bane?
Sorry. Could you
Sorry,
repeat the
I
question?
didn't hear the question.
Yes, I'll repeat. Mobile app development, mobile application development courses for children a boon or bane?
Oh,
Oh,
boon
a
or
boon.
bane?
Yeah, boon or bane? Yeah, he's asking.
For okay, so maybe I can speak a little bit on this. So
Sure.
I think mobile app development is, especially for children, is very important because it's definitely a boom in my opinion. Because to build a mobile app, you not only just have to learn the coding aspect of things, you need to learn about the design, you need to learn about the user experience, like what, at the end of the day, someone who uses a mobile app, how is that person going to experience this? You need to think about this. There's a lot of aspects of creativity, aspects of functionality that is involved in the development, and all of these things are very very important in their transformational years in their life. So let's say a kid is very proficient in mobile app development. In the future, the kid will definitely have a higher social EQ, higher understanding of how people work, higher understanding how logic works in mathematics, in coding, and many other areas. So for myself, I personally believe that mobile app development and any form of development at a young age is definitely boom, and we need to look beyond what the development is for. Like, even if it's a mobile app, even if it's like a computer game, I think the content is not important. It's the process, it's the journey that is more important.
Great, great. Yeah, that was a very good answer. And another question from Dr. Erwin O. Estrella. He is from Philippines. He is from Urdaneta city. So he works in Pangasinan State University. So he's asking, how do we utilize apps to sustain quality education amidst pandemic? Can apps really enhance teaching or learning? Why? If it is so, why? Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So, no, I think Vishnu, were you able to?
Yeah, you can go ahead with
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, please.
our personal belief, as we've already mentioned multiple times, is what you do. Educators always be at the center of the learning experience. An education system is just as good as the educator part of the education system. You can use smart tools to enhance your teaching experience, but in a pandemic driven world, we first need to understand that these educators need to be given simple tools that they can easily conduct their classes, starting with very simple video technology, very simple ability to have whiteboards, a very simple ability to really communicate with your students, a simple ability to facilitate breakout rooms when you're conducting a class. Basically, try and simulate the environment that is created in a real classroom. Education will only grow when the relationship between the teacher and student will stay intact. And we personally believe that if we try to use other platforms like sharing videos from the internet or sharing animations available on applications, they're great, but they can never replace the importance of the educator. So online education tools should first and foremost be um, addressing the needs of the educator to simulate the right teaching environment.
Great,
Yeah.
great. That was really excellent answer. Yeah, I hope you are very clear in that answer. And yeah, there is another question. So this is the question from everyone, I guess. So I'll not announce the name because there are so many people are asking the same kind of question. So what about the students who cannot afford to purchase a mobile, or what about the technology is not reaching the remote locations? So how affordable is it for the remote people or for the students who cannot afford mobile apps or the desktop?
I can
Yes,
I can
sure.
maybe answer this first, then Anuraj can add on a bit more. Yeah. So I would believe that it's always incremental. Definitely, like we cannot expect to have the full 100% at today itself. I mean, based on my statistics earlier, we read that 80% of teachers are facing high stress, and about 50% of students are already tired and bored in classrooms, and we don't know how many more students have lack of access. So there are multiple layers into how we solve this problem. And the first one is laptops are too expensive. What is the cheapest alternative? Mobile phones. And that's the first alternative we'll be going towards. But of course, over time, as technology progresses, these things will also become like more accessible, more cheap, and like what we mentioned earlier, infrastructure is continually growing, and there will come a day where every single student will have access to a mobile phone, or maybe beyond that, every single student will have access to a quality educator, and every single educator will be able to perform quality education to the students. And you cannot expect from a 0 to 100 in one day. That's why we at EduWave believe that we're taking the first step in the right direction, and incrementally over time, as you follow us, you'll see how we're going to be doing it. And me and Anuraj have like laid out a very detailed roadmap in the next 2 to 5 years as to how we want to make this a reality. So that's I mean, it's not a one-day job; it's a one like a journey.
Yes, I agree with whatever Vishnu said. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the feedback form. I mean, it's not a feedback form, but the link to the early access is in the chat. So you guys can sign up. We'll get in contact with you and help you build your own cohort and your own community of students. The more signups we get, the more we feel happy that this session is successful. So please sign up, and even if you don't want an early access, you can just reach out to us and talk to us. More than happy to share our learnings and findings. That this session is
Yeah, thank you.
successful. So please sign up, and even if you
Yeah, I think you can mute that YouTube live, Mr. Vishnu. Yeah. So there is another question from Bishwant Maheshwari, Miss Bishwant Maheshwari. She is from West Bengal. She is working in Anand Chandra College. So she's asking, if we start democratizing education through mobile apps completely, then what about those individuals who are not that capable? Yeah, I think this question was answered, right?
yes,
Yeah, I think, yeah, we have answered this question. So another question, let me take. He is from Lopamudra Ghosh. Lopamudra Ghosh. He is Lopamudra Ghosh. He is from Bolpur, India. He is a student. So he's asking, what do you think? I'm sorry, I could not understand this question. What do you think is more preferable, mobile apps or books? Acha, what do you think is preferable, mobile apps or books? That is what his question is.
Anuraj, do you want?
Sure. I can answer that. Yeah, sure. I think it's important for us to understand the purpose of the two they feel. Books are great for self-paced learning. A book does not go anywhere, right? So I can read a book, I can close it and read it again 2 days, 3 days later. But what apps enable is live learning. When we go to a school, we learn live, learn with other students, and we have direct interactions with the teacher. That is what we want being the main form of us, where we can share our ideas, discuss our thoughts, and get feedback that we're doing. So books are great to accumulate knowledge over a period of time, but to share and discuss those ideas, we need a classroom setting and we need a learning environment where there's constant interaction as well as our teachers and educators. That is where mobile apps, laptop apps come in for live learning. Yeah.
Yeah, great, great. And Mr. Vishnu and Mr. Anuraj, this question is from my side and also on behalf of some of the participants. So, how is your application or platform is different with that of the competitors, and who are the competitors actually? And how is it different from, let us say, Google Classroom or even Microsoft Teams? They're also offering the same kind of platform, and maybe with some of the platforms are available outside. So how is it different from those platforms? What is the differentiator, key
Yeah.
differentiator?
Yeah. That's a great question. One thing we need to realize is that Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams is simply a tool that lets you conduct a video conference. But they don't guide you in terms of how to conduct a class. They don't help you build cohort-based courses. They don't help you design these learning environments. So that is where we come in. We will not only give you the technology, live video conferencing or sharing files and notes, but we will also guide how to build your workshops, how to build your how to build your cohort-based courses. How can you design, let's say if I want to teach to year one college students, or I want to conduct a workshop for other professors, key skills. how can I design a 6-week workshop or a 4-week workshop such that it is engaging? I can manage the class all in one platform, and I can ensure that there are proper learning outcomes for the participants of that workshop or that cohort class. So that is where we come in. Microsoft Teams is just it's not guiding you as to, okay, this is how you should be conducting the class, or this is the mechanics of how and what top in how much amount of time. That is where we want to create the software and the platform to guide you. Yeah.
Great, great. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you, Mr. Ranraj. And see, then it is good that your platform has so many features, and then it could accommodate most of the students. Like at present, I think 50 students, and then you will increase it, right? Slowly.
Yes, correct, correct.
And what about, see, another question arises in my mind is how best a teacher could deliver the contents to the students, and how to analyze the teacher has given the concepts in the best way. Like, how do we measure the performance of a teacher through mobile apps, whether she or he delivers a good lecture or not? Like,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
do you
Um,
have any kind of
maybe
measurements features?
I can try to answer that. So
Yeah, please.
So one thing is, how does a real life teacher gauge currently? So my first question it will be like, in a physical classroom, how can a teacher gauge the learnings of a classroom? I mean, learnings of a student. Even till today, there is no proper channel for an educator or a teacher in a classroom to gauge the
Yes.
efficacy of the presentation. But imagine
Yes.
with education online, with online tools, you have things like polls, you have things like quizzes, you have things like keeping track of a student's progress from day one, things like instantaneous chat and questions that a student can ask. And in a physical classroom, a teacher will say, "Don't interrupt me when I'm speaking." Like the teacher would like to finish the entire presentation before getting questions. But if the in an online setting, a student can engage a teacher any time of the journey, and it makes a lot more interactive. There's a lot more points of metrics to measure whether the teaching experience has been good for the student or not. And over time, we're also looking to things like using artificial intelligence or the video itself to see how engaged or how focused a student is looking at the mobile phone, how much content recovery is or content retention a student is having from our education or our educator. So these are some of the things that we are having in our roadmap. So a lot of things. Right now, we have something that can facilitate teaching online at a very easy and convenient manner. But over time, we are building all of these features that can, like what you mentioned, track the progress of a student and get feedback on the teachers or educators' learning style and experience. Yep.
Yeah, that would be great. Because when you are saying everything, then we are so much of ambitious to get everything out of your platform. So
I know. It's one
our
step at a time.
expectations
One
are
step at a time.
increasing. You
Yeah.
know. So another question. Uh, we have only 10 minutes more, so I'll conclude it within 10 minutes. So another question. Let me put you on the screen, or let me ask you: what is the impact of online education, or what is the impact that we get through mobile apps if we get imparted the education through mobile apps? Is what the question.
What is the impact? So, what sort of
Yeah,
impact are you talking about?
online education. Suppose if we
Online.
go online, if it is not the traditional way, one to one, and if the education is going on through online or through mobile apps, so what is the impact that it
Right.
has
Okay,
on the
understood.
education system?
So, with the COVID, what we've seen is offline education might not happen for a few more months or maybe another year. So, impact of online education is twofold. The first, which we've been with for the past year, is Zoom classes. In Zoom classes or Google Meet classes, we've conducted all of things online. Um, that has been good in terms of being able to reach some students, but some students also found it to be a way to not attend classes or to get away. I think moving forward, as we figure out or we figure out how to continue learning during in this online phase, we will see that there will be tools. So now, if you see most video platforms, educators can actually see who were the students who attended their classes, for how long were they in the class, who spoke in the class, things of that nature. So as things like this, as educators become more familiar with online teaching, it will become the new normal. And the reason why it'll be great when it becomes normal is because now, if I'm, say, a student who had to actually travel from one part of India all the way to another just to be able to get education, I can get it from the confines of my room. I can get it from the confines of my small town, rather than spend my personal savings and move my life from part of the country to another. Now, there are some things that we'll have to figure out when it comes to online education for certain subjects. Subjects that involve a lot of lab work, subjects that involve practical work. Yes, there will need to be solutions that might maybe be in terms of simulating a lab environment online, simulating practice online. But we truly feel that online education has opened doors for a lot of subjects that are theoretical or do not require as many resources. So if I am a professor teaching English literature, I do not necessarily need 100 students in in a physical lecture theater. I can sit at the comfort of my home to deliver an equal impactful lecture online to now maybe not even 100 but 200 students sitting all across the country. So in that terms, there is a lot more and there's a lot more opportunity for these students now be able to learn from best educators, irrespective of where they're sitting and where they're learning from. Yep.
I think Dr. Rao has some technical difficulties. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, there is a similar question. I think you have answered also already, but there is a difference in this question because she also pointed out how to inculcate the values with the students. That is only the difference, I think, in this question.
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, I think uh, changing education from what it is, like very transactional and online education right now, it's a teach and listen kind of format, to something more built on community, teamwork, interaction. I think values will automatically grow in the students because now there's more talking to one another, there is more feedback loops, there is more ways of testing social intelligence, not just the IQ itself, but the EQ also. And this is how, over time, we hope to cultivate values. Because physical touch is something which we used to have in the past, but with the new normal, that is also one of our biggest, disappointments because there's no more physical touch, which is why through EduWeave we are like studying into the details of what a physical and humane touch means and trying to promote that through EduWeave. So of course, we believe that humane aspect and a physical aspect to education is absolutely necessary, but because of circumstances, you can't have it anymore. And the best alternative is doing it through online. And at EduWeave, we're trying to explore, and we believe that we have what it takes to recreate this component in education. Yeah. I think Dr. Rao has some issues with the internet again.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, here is the final question for both of you. I don't know whether you choose it or Mr. Dhanraj. Yeah. The question is from Dr. B. Madhavi. She works in Nizam College as an assistant professor. She is asking, is it advisable to have online mode of studies for all time to come? And there is another question also. I'll just club it because both appear to be the same. What is educational democracy?
Sure. I can answer that first. Perhaps Vishnu can then contribute his thoughts. So we definitely feel that moving forward, there will be some sort of a hybrid education structure. There will be huge part of education that will be offline, where students and teachers will meet up in a physical setting again. But because we have seen this online education and what the internet enables, definitely online learning will be a huge part of the education industry. So moving forward, we feel that it'll be both. It'll be a hybrid. Students, if they have the means, might attend physical classes, but students would want to attend remotely. See, there'll be a lot more acceptance of remote programs and in that sense. And the idea of democratizing education, at least to us at EduWeek personally, is twofold. The first part is the two parties that are involved. So there's an educator, there's a student. From the educator's perspective, we want to democratize education, giving them the right tool to create the right environment to conduct teachings for their students. So that's from the teacher's perspective, giving them the right tools to build the right learning experiences. From the student's perspective, democratizing education means democratizing the access to new learning technologies and new learning methods. How would that be possible? That would be possible when we build solutions that are built for the 21st century and for the upcoming decade. Solutions that take the advantages that students have in terms of being tech savvy, the advantages that they have in terms of having access to more internet, cheaper mobile devices, cheaper technology, and really creating tools that enable the education experience to thrive in that setting. So that is what education democracy is to us. Yeah.
I hope you answered both the questions. Anything you wanted to add? We have only 1 minute time to close the webinar.
Yeah, I
Sure.
think
You want to make some closing remarks?
yeah. So, yeah, thanks for having us here. I think it's been a great time and opportunity for us to share what we have been learning and what we have obtained in the last few years in this industry. And I think the journey to democratizing and giving every single student the kind of education they need is not a one day or one man job. We at EduWeave are like trying our small part to make this change. I mean, you know, it's always better to work together with educators and students and create this as together and bring the change we want to see in the future. And so, like once again, I mentioned you can just sign up in the you can just sign up in the Google Forms and we'll reach out to you and we can see how we can make this change a possibility.
Thank you, Mr. Ranraj, and thank you, Mr. Vishnu Sharan, once again for having spent your valuable time with the IHRD in this webinar. I hope the audience will get most of the insights and they'll make use of your platform. And thanks for the participants. I think now we have come to a conclusion now. And there is another just an announcement. The feedback form is available, and then the e-certificates can be triggered only when you submit the feedback form because it is an automated process and only 100 certificates can be triggered in a day. So if the participants are, let us say, 1,000 who requires the certificate, and it takes 10 days of time. So it is like first come first served basis. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your participation. And again, once again, Mr. Anuraj and Mr. Sharan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks a lot.